I was waiting for like a countdown thing to happen, but it didn't. The countdown doesn't really show for me, so it was a little bit of an unexpected. Oh, we're live. So, hello everybody. I hope you are having a wonderful day so far, that your evening is going to plan because you are here. So you are showing up for the second workshop in the Unforgettable Brand Bootcamp, and I am very, very excited to get started with this one for you. But first of all, I thought I would just say hi. It's always nice to kind of connect, first of all, I think a little bit on video. And I wanted to really see how you guys got on with the first workshop. So what were your unforgettable moments? Don't forget to tell me. I really do want to hear what those kind of aha moments were for you, and really just kind of what the big takeaways you found were, what things that you were going to really take from that first workshop and start to implement in your brand and in your business. Because as fun as hanging out together here is in these workshops, we are here for you to build that unforgettable brand for your business. And that means you have to do some work. So with that being said, let me go ahead and share my screen with you, and we can dive into today's workshop. So hopefully a couple of minutes. Oh, it helps if I actually push the share button. There we go. So we should be sharing. Now I'm gonna hopefully kind of just hide my head view there, so I don't have to see myself talking, because that's always a great distraction. And here we go. We are ready then to dive into workshop 2, which is designing an unforgettable attraction. Okay. So, hands up. Who spotted that last minute update? So, I have to admit that kind of last night I was thinking about this workshop and what we're going to be doing. I was looking through my notes. I was comparing it to kind of workshop 1, just checking that everything was going to follow through for you guys. And this name popped into my head. And I just couldn't not come in and change everything and update everything last night. I mean, to be honest, I was always going to be in there tweaking things, because as much as I love to prep, when it comes to these workshops, what you are getting is the most up-to-date content from my brain. So I'm always going to be in these slides last night making updates. So my lovely campers, welcome, welcome, welcome to the workshop formerly known as How to Create a Brand That Attracts and Converts the Right Audience for You, which was a pretty mouthful anyway, and it is now going to be known as Designing an Unforgettable Attraction, which is way, way easier to say. So, first up, a little bit of housekeeping. And let's keep this one super speedy, because we covered most of this in workshop 1, which reminds me, if you haven't watched that first workshop yet, then you can go and grab the replay after this one, because there's no need to go and hop off and watch it first. It's still going to make sense even if you don't watch these in order. So there are no rules here, except use the workbook. So how did everyone get on with the workbook from workshop 1? Did it download and open okay for editing? Because if there's any kind of tech issues with this stuff, then, you know, just let me know. I can always share a PDF version with you. So if you would prefer that, then that's not a problem. I'd rather you have something that you use than just something pretty that I created and that sits there not doing anything. So if you haven't already downloaded the workbook for this workshop, then that should be somewhere down below us on this page. Hopefully you won't be able to miss it, because there should be a big button there for you to download. And remember, I want you to use this for taking notes that you need. So while we're working on your brand here, we're not just learning stuff. So I want you to take notes on how you can apply what we're digging into here in your brand right now. So designing your brand of unforgettable isn't something that you have to wait to do. You can start it today. So let's start today and ask questions. That is my super important note here to make to you, because we had a bit of a slow start on questions. From workshop 1, there wasn't that many questions that came in. I only really had about 3 or 4 questions in the end, which maybe that's because I explained everything so brilliantly you didn't need to ask any questions. but I'm also going to hold my hand up a little bit and admit that perhaps running the live coaching and questions call the morning after the workshops wasn't particularly the best move, because I appreciate that it doesn't really give you all that much time to catch up on the replays. So if you are watching the replay right now, there's another reason why actually showing up live is the best plan. But anyway, if you are catching the replay, hopefully you're catching it in time to ask questions ahead of Thursday's coaching call. So if you've got any questions though from workshop 1, or as we move through this workshop, note them down, then come and post them over in the questions thread, which should be in the events tab now over on the Facebook group. And I will be going live in the morning again, 11 a.m, which will be Thursday morning, depending when you're watching this, which will be our final coaching and questions call. So now really is the time to get any questions that you need answered, absolutely whatever they might be, so long as they are related to your brand, which pretty much covers everything really, which is one of the reasons I absolutely love the subject of branding. When everyone's telling you to niche, actually branding as a niche is great because it really kind of covers everything. Business, life, what you're wearing, all of those questions can relate back to your brand, although what you're wearing does sound like a bit of an odd question to ask. So we'll leave that there and move swiftly on. So win the ultimate brand package. Now this prize will go out to the person who shows up for their brand the most throughout this bootcamp. Now I will share the link for full entry details at the end of this session, so no getting distracted. But if you want a better chance of winning this kind of ultimate brand package, then you're going to have to show up. You've got to do the work. I want you to share your ums, and that's your unforgettable moments. It's a happy accident how those letters worked out there. And this is really a engagement contest for you. So I want you, obviously, to get the most out of our time together this week. And I know that when there's a little incentive for engaging with the content, there's more chance that you will make the time that you need to do this work. So go and check out the contest rules page when I share that later to find out all of the ways that you can gain extra entries into this prize draw and really boost your chance of designing your own forgettable brand this week. Your unforgettable brand this week. Because the more work you do this week, not only will you get more entries into the prize draw, but of course you are going to be doing the work on your brand. So it's a win-win-win all round. Okay, enough said about that. Let's get cracking. So guys, what is coming up? Now today we are talking unforgettable attraction. And as ever, with all things attraction, it starts with you. Now, we did touch on this yesterday, but today we're going deeper into the first steps of the CTFO brand process, which starts with the letter C, which is for your core. So today we're going to go deep on why you are more important than what you do. We're going to get comfortable and confident being more you in your brand. And we're going to dive into the unforgettable rules of attraction. So yesterday we got started with what makes a brand unforgettable. Why your unforgettable brand is your secret sales tool, and how you can actually just design your brand with just 5 emojis. So if you need to, go and grab the replay after tonight's session, if you did miss that one. But right now it is time to crack the fuck on. So workshop 2, the secret to designing an unforgettable attraction. It's you. Again, so I really couldn't resist keeping this slide in there from workshop 1, because if there's one thing that I really hope that you are picking up on here, it's the importance of you in your brand. So what is the first rule of attraction? Be it in your business or when you meet someone you know that you're really going to be friends with. Anyone got any clues? Share your thoughts on the chat. Hopefully the chat is working. I haven't double checked that. And this is not a trick question. So what is the first rule of attraction? And no, it is not just being attractive, because I mean, that does sound like quite a simple solution. But what does being attractive really start with? Confidence. Yes, it's that really big C word, because confidence is one of those things that really trips us up all over the place. Whether you think you're really quite a confident person or whether you think you're not, we all have so many varying degrees of it. But when you meet someone with that glowing confidence, it's just infectious. You want a piece of that for yourself. You can't help but feel like you want to be around this person. They make you feel more confident in yourself just by being near them. And you find yourself kind of wanting to spend more time with them, to be involved in whatever it is that they are doing. And most of the time, you're probably also thinking, I want what they've got. And that feeling is exactly what we want for your brand. We want your perfect customers getting really excited to hear from you. We want them to really want to be around you. We want them to be wanting to be involved in whatever it is that you're doing and to be thinking, I want what they've got. So much so that perhaps they're, waiting to buy your latest offering before you've even decided what your latest offering is going to be. That is what designing an unforgettable attraction is all about. Confidence in your brand. So creating an unforgettable, unshakable, unstoppable confidence in your brand. Can I find some more unwords to use there? That was a lot of unwords. And that really is what we're going to get cracking on today. So by the end of this workshop, I really want you to have an unforgettable confidence in your brand. Are you ready for that? So, where does confidence really come from? You. It's that pesky little slide again. Hopefully you're going to remember this slide forever now. But you can't buy confidence. You can't borrow it or fake it, no matter how often people might try and convince you that you can fake it till you make it. It can't be done. And I know I tried it for years. I mean, for the longest time, I was the most unconfident person I knew. At least that was the story I kept telling myself. And it was that, really, just a story. Not one I completely made up on my own, because I believed that being confident meant, standing on stage and being the one to walk up to everyone and start conversations, or being the biggest, most loudest, most confident person at the party. But that is bullshit. Don't get me wrong. If that is you naturally, then that's great. And I love people like you. Some of my absolute best friends are people like you. Me, I am my most confident when I am shining the light on other people. Now, I don't have a great desire to be the one standing on stage or being center of attention. I mean, one of the reasons that we jetted off to Thailand to get married, just the two of us, was because the idea of standing in a room, center of attention, wearing a white dress, kind of made me want to be a little bit mousesick. Not from the fear of doing it, but from a kind of deep knowing that that isn't really me. And being you, in whatever form that takes, is the secret to having that inner confidence that radiates and infects the room. Being you, however that looks for you, is what creates that unforgettable attraction in your brand. So being you, however you want to be, that's the big secret to designing your unforgettable. Because who you are is way more important than what you do. So who you are is the real reason people want to buy from you. It's not what you do, because what you do, let's face it, can be done by anyone with the time to learn new skills on the internet. The act of doing something isn't really the thing that people are buying. And while we're on that subject, who you are rarely is what people are actually buying. What people are really buying is, will my slide change? Dramatic pause. How you make them feel. So, A quick example here. If I want a candle, now I'm not sure why a candle was the first thing that popped into my head when I was doing this, because I'm not even really a big fan of candles, but if I wanted a candle, I could buy this one, which is a pretty basic 99p one from the supermarket, or I could buy this one, which is a couple £100 from Jo Malone. Now, they both burn wax. They both give off light. They both have a pretty smell. I mean, they both do the job of being a candle, but one makes you feel very different to the other. So if you are into your candles, so if candles are something that's very important to you, then the feeling that the one on the right gives you is going to be way more important than the cost of it. Now we're getting a little bit into the world of feelings in your brand here, and that's part 3 of the CTFO process. So we're going to back it up slightly, back into of that world, because otherwise we could be here for weeks if we go into the details of feelings in your brand. But what is really important in this example is you understanding that the decision to buy, to connect, or to choose one thing over the other is not made from logic. It is made from an attraction to your brand. So your brand isn't about you or your offers or your website. It's about how people feel when they are around you. And that starts with confidence in being you. More specifically, confidence in being more you in your brand. So how do you get more comfortable and confident being more you in your brand? You start with your story, with what makes you you, and you keep digging into that story until you find what makes your brand unforgettable. And it's you. Did you see that right at the bottom of the slide? It's you, but it's not really you as you know you right now. Because to figure out how people feel when they are around you, we need to first start understanding how we feel when we are around ourselves. Now, I know that's perhaps a little bit deep for a Wednesday evening workshop. I do feel like perhaps we should be cracking open the gin at this point, but it's a little bit of a kind of chicken and an egg thing, so stick with me here. Your brand isn't about you, and yet it has everything to do with you. So without understanding you first, without getting kind of clear on how you feel about you, kind of what you love about yourself, what your story is, what's happened to you to get you here, all your beliefs and all those absolutely complex conundrums, those layers that go into making you who you are, which is the kind of person that someone wants to sit down with and share a couple of gins, without first knowing all of this, without knowing what that feels like, you can't bring that feeling into your own brand. So your brand is about how people feel when they are around you, or if they just simply think about your business. So remember what our good friend Jeff had to say last time about this? Your brand is what people say about you when you are not in the room. Now, I know that this quote gets bounded around all of the time, but it is quite an important one. So until you know how you want people to feel, though, there is absolutely no chance that you're going to be able to create that feeling in your brand. So how do you want people to feel? Do you want people to feel inspired and supported and connected, or entertained and relaxed? Do you want them to feel confident? Do you want them to feel like they are absolutely filled with a burning urge to go and rule the world in their own way? You know, you could possibly list out many feelings, I am sure of that, but where and how do you create those feelings? Because you can't just say, I want people to feel confident when they think of me and my brand, and then go and pick out some colours and magically just make it happen. I mean, colour psychology is a very powerful tool, but it's not a magic pill for your business. So first, you really have to understand what it means, what confident feels like. And we're back at those pesky feelings again. You can't shake them off, those things. I mean, they are in everything that you do. But you really have to dig into what confident means to you first, and then what confident means to your perfect customers. Because remember, your brand bridges the gap between who you are and who your perfect customers are. And as we all interpret these things in our own little ways, that one word, confident, or whatever the word is that you're using, can mean something completely different to everyone that you meet. So you're going to really want to understand how confident feels to you and how it feels to your perfect customers. And then, and only then, can you start to translate this into your brand visuals. So let's stick with the word confident for this example, because we've already touched on this just now. So to me, confident means being you in whatever form that takes. It means really understanding your core values and your beliefs and showing up in that way without thinking about other people's expectations. But on the other hand, to someone else, confident or confidence or being confident might mean something completely different. It may mean being really ballsy, being brash, being the one that stands up in the middle of the room and makes sure that everybody hears what they have to say. And you know what? There's no right or wrong here. Both are right answers. Both are just different worldviews. Now, perhaps this exercise might be feeling a little bit familiar to you, because we did practice this in the Welcome Week with those one words and looking at the positives and the negatives. So there is method in my madness, people. Everything relates to your brand. So if that second view of the word confident happens to be the view of your perfect customers, then you have got a contrast in views here, and that becomes the center of your unforgettable brand. So when you take contrasting views from the same word and then you marry them up in your brand, when you start to kind of explore the worldview from both sides, then you create a feeling in your brand that connects who you are to your perfect customers. You bridge that gap between you and your tribe of perfect customers, and you create your own brand of unforgettable. Now, this is a practice of kind of contrasting worldviews, and I use it time and time again, and it works every time, because the exploration of contrasting worldviews is a designer's dream, really. Because when it comes to branding, this contrast gives you a complete unique way of presenting the same thing. So if confidence means the same thing to everybody, then surely every brand that held the word confident as a value would just end up looking the same. And the world would be a much less interesting place. So contrast is what makes your brand, what makes the world interesting. So the completely complex and varied way that our brains work means that there are infinite options when it comes to the way that we interpret each word. And so that means that when it comes to your brand and designing your brand, you have a huge playground of difference to kind of run around in and design your own unforgettable brand from all of those different worldviews. So no matter what stage you are at, what offering you have, what you plan to sell in the future, no matter where you are in your business and your brand, no matter if you want to be the face of your business or not, your worldview is at the core of what makes your brand unforgettable. So, my lovelies, that was my rather long-ass way of letting you know why getting to know you first is the secret to designing an unforgettable attraction. So when you are clear on your view of the world, you have the core basis to your brand ready to build in any contrasts from your perfect customers. It's the marriage of those two things that really makes your brand. Now, when you don't really know who you are or what's at your core, then you're going to find yourself really easily swayed into that people-pleasing mode. When you're designing a brand, that you're doing it to fit what you think your customers might want, not what you know they want, because you don't know what you want. That was a little bit of a confusing way to say that. But your customers never really know what they want. So you don't want to base your brand on your customers' views solely. That's what I'm trying to say. So let's start the journey into what is at your core now. Are you ready for some action? So get your workbooks ready. Let's get to know you a little bit better here. What's your story? Now, I know that that is quite a big question, so let's get started with a bit more specific questions around that. So what do you believe? What's your view on the world? What really gets your goat in the world, in business, in life? And what are the things that you could talk about for days in a really fired up, standing on your soapbox kind of way? Now, you don't have to answer these questions right now. That is what the workbook is for. But when you do, I want you to move into telling me a specific story. I want the story of what brought you to where you are in your business and life today. I would like you to choose one big moment and go really deep on this for me. So what did that moment feel like? What was the turning point in that moment? What changed and what happened next? So, as an example, the big moment that came from the story that I told yesterday when I got back from kind of getting married and I realised that I felt suppressed and unheard and was lacking all sense of worth and confidence in the job that I had. In that moment, I felt lost and muted and frustrated and like I knew I could do better, but I didn't know how. And the turning point came when I quit in a rush of excitement to finally break free from the rules and find my own way of being. So how did things change for me? Well, they changed when I started to listen to what I wanted, not what people expected of me. And what happened next? Well, I went on to create what you see now, a business doing things my own way. I found my own voice and figured out how I wanted to use it. And that didn't mean following the rules. It didn't mean breaking rules. It meant making my own rules. Can you see any of my brand in that? So when what you're looking at on the outside of my brand and what you see from that story that I just told, can you see a connection between the two? So from knowing my brand story, I can bring that into my brand. So now it's your turn. After this workshop, I want you to carve out some time. I mean, ideally, go straight into it after this session. Take 10 minutes, though, to answer those questions. And however they come out for you, no overthinking it. We don't like overthinking. So one of the main questions that I do get asked, though, when I use this kind of challenge with my clients and my members is, do I have to choose just one moment? Because, of course, there are lots of moments that brought you to where you are right now. And no, you don't have to choose just one. You can absolutely, and you should explore all of these moments in your timeline because all of them will give you little snippets into what it feels like to be you. What and the where and the how of when your beliefs formed. I mean, all of those layers of you that make you the kind of person that you are now and the kind of person that your customers want to come and work with, they'll all be revealed when we dig into these kind of stories. But for today, for this session, we're just focusing on one. But what you may come to find is that with all of these moments that they go back to kind of something that really is a little bit deeper in you, that really hits the core of everything you believe. And that is the thing that we are really digging for, because that's the thing that will help you make your brand unforgettable. Now, it may not be something that you want to put out there just yet or kind of share here within this bootcamp, and you don't have to, but let yourself kind of go deep into these stories and really see what comes out. There are no set amount of moments that you need to explore here. It's really up to you how many you explore to find those kind of details in your life that show you what makes you you. Yeah, what kind of makes you the person that someone wants to connect with and work with. Now, of course, not all of these details are things that we're going to actually start using and sharing in your brand. That's not what we're doing here. These are just details for you to understand what makes you you and how you can then start to use these things as your unique positioning in your brand. The thing that makes you unforgettable, because the thing that makes you unforgettable makes you different from everyone else. The thing that nobody can copy is you. But understanding and exploring who you are can sometimes be the hardest thing to do. And that's why this kind of story method can really help you dig into that. So in this workshop, we're really trying to dig into that core so we can pull out the layers of your personality to really find your unforgettable attraction. And by exploring these kind of stories, these moments in your life that kind of were the catalyst to get you where you are now, you will find parts of your personality that are so very important to include in your brand voice and your brand style. So I just want you to list out unforgettable moments in your own life and then just choose one to go a little bit deeper on with me today. And if you are really struggling to kind of choose one moment to go deeper on, then a little tool that I sometimes use, write them on pieces of paper, throw those pieces of paper in the air and just pick one. Pretty simple, isn't it? So to help you kind of get your mind going on the how and what of what I'm talking about here with these kind of little moments, I wanted to share a couple of examples of my own big moments. So things like moving to uni, getting married in Thailand, starting my business, cracking my head open, quite literally, and then of course starting a family. So these are all some of my kind of top level unforgettable moments. And the one I picked to explore with you here is the story of starting my business. Now, the story of this really actually digs into a few of the other moments because everything is connected, as is life. So when I start to look at what happened here, what it felt like, what the turning point was, and what changed and what happened next, the story of starting my business, I mean, really starts with that belief that I needed to be heard, that everybody needs to be heard in their own way. And that really came from a deep rooted story in me, that a much younger me that wasn't heard, that struggled so much in finding her voice, that didn't know how to communicate or to express herself. I mean, that version of me felt so much pain in trying to overcome that story, that when she finally did, when she finally found her way out of it, when she connected to a way that made her comfortable and confident in her own voice, which happened to be through visuals, then she knew that she wanted to take that energy and turn it into a way to help other people be heard through visuals. And that's where this whole love for branding and visual design started. So you can see from allowing myself to dig into that story, we can start to pull out themes and characteristics of my personality that really go into what makes my brand what it is today. And that is the goal of this exercise, to dig into you and pull out the characteristics that will make your brand unforgettable. Because you, in all your beautiful complexities, are unforgettable. And that is my mission here, to help you see that and to help you plan to share your unforgettable with the world. So, what are... oh, hang on a minute. I've moved onto a different slide here. What are the unforgettable rules of attraction? Okay, I must have had an old slide in from workshop one. I do apologize for that, but let's just move on. The unforgettable rules of attraction. Confidence. So when you know who you are, when you tell your story with confidence, you become unforgettably attractive to your perfect customers. I mean, understanding what your story is, what's at your core, is undeniably the most important first step in your brand. Because without this, you're kind of just staring at a blank sheet, just waiting for other people to fill it with their values, and they will. So get confident being more you in your brand before someone else does it for you. Contrast. Get to see the world through the eyes of your tribe of perfect customers, because when you understand the differences in how they view the things that you value the most, you're going to open up a whole world of contrasts that are absolutely killer for creating an unforgettable attraction in your brand. Consistency, I should have made that consistency originally rather than consistent, but when you are confident in your story, when you know your worldview, then what goes into kind of making your brand unforgettable, then showing up consistently becomes way easier. And with that kind of consistency brings loyalty from your tribe of perfect customers, and that loyalty breeds attraction among your tribe. Because there's nothing more attractive than when somebody's got a flock of people around them. And the consistency, following contrast and confidence in your brand really help build on that unforgettable attraction. So feelings. Now I'm a little bit upset that I couldn't find another C word to go in here. So if somebody's got a really good C word for what feelings is, then do let me know. But if there's one thing that will show up time and time again, it's those pesky feelings. Because as much as we try to hide it, we're all creatures of emotion. And we rarely do anything just for logical reasons. So if you want an unforgettable attraction in your brand, then you've got to get to grips with how feelings completely rule the brand world. And then finally, awareness. And now this is a really great one to end on. And again, I need more C words. But when you are aware of all of the above, of what's changing in all of those kind of areas, and how when things change in those areas, that's going to influence and change your brand, then you can adapt and grow your brand to really keep that unforgettable attraction burning. So, phew, that's it for the Designing an Unforgettable Attraction workshop. And we are, I think, coming up to about 40 minutes, which is perfect. I love to keep these trainings within that kind of 40 to 50 minute mark. So we went deep today on why you are more important than what you do. We got comfortable and confident being more you in your brand. And of course, we went through those unforgettable rules of attraction. So if you didn't have a gin in your hand at the start of this workshop, then I sure hope you're off to go and get one now, because we have got some deep work to do, and you know you've got the workbook to go and fill out, and a gin will be the perfect complement for that. But what's coming up next? So we have now got just one workshop left in this series, which is a little bit sad, but I'm also really super excited to move on to that one with you. So within that workshop, we are going to look at the success path of your unforgettable brand, and we're going to look at how to use the CTFO brand process in your brand. And then we are going to look at what it really takes to launch your brand of unforgettable. Before we sign off for the night, don't forget to do the work, to download that workbook and fill in the big questions from today. I want you to take some notes on what you need to apply to your brand right now. And of course, if you've got questions, then please do make sure you pop them over in the questions and coaching call thread, which is over in the Facebook group, before we go live tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Now, I do say to make sure you send them in before, because if tech mares happen again as they did on Tuesday, then I might not get to see your comments on the live, and I don't want to miss your questions. So if you have questions, please do share them with me now. And of course, if you want to be in with a chance to win the ultimate brand package, then be sure to attend all of the workshops and get cracking with your own brand of unforgettable. And I want you to share your those unforgettable moments from each workshop. Now, there is a link somewhere right below this workshop to share those and I will be announcing the winner on the live Launch Your Unforgettable Brand Masterclass, which is on the 23rd of September. And so, my lovelies, that brings us to the end of the second workshop. Now, I hope you found some unforgettable moments in there for you and your brand. Don't forget to share those with me on your social media channels. Use the hashtag unforgettablebrand, or just tag me in it so I can pop your name in the hat for an extra entry into the prize draw. And if you've got any questions, add them to the Q&A thread, and then join me in the Facebook group tomorrow at 11 a.m. to get all of those questions answered. And until then, until tomorrow morning, get cracking, do the work, fill in your unforgettable brand workbooks, and I will see you in the Facebook group tomorrow.